I'm so grateful to my father, who is responsible for the most precious memories in life. Memories such as first computer. For some reason I remember that day he surprised me. That day is etched so strongly in my memory that I still remember everything as it were yesterday. When I woke up one morning and saw a strange cord on the ground. As I looked at the cord, I tried to figure it out. Whose cord was it and why it's in my room? Was it a lamp cord? Then slowly raising my eyes and following the cord, I saw a monitor placed on my desk. At first I thought Dad bought me a television, but those grey colors were only on computers back in the day. Eyes wide, I jumped out of the bed and looked at the monitor. It was just a monitor placed on the desk. But that didn't matter to me. I know what it meant. It meant that we are going to have a computer, and Dad left it in my room so I would see it in the morning and he would surprise me. Well, he succeeded it. Yelling and screaming from joy, I ran out of my room looking for the rest of the PC parts. Although I didn't know how to assemble it, and my new compact Processor Pentium 2 was amazing. I was incredibly happy to see this thing at my place. It was like a dream come true. It was my first time using a computer. Actually, I didn't know what to do. I was experimenting with all kinds of programs. But the joy vanished after a few hours when I realized it was just a computer. And without Paint and Word programs, we had nothing more interesting to do. And after changing the desktop wallpaper perhaps 100 times, my fascination waned. Finally pulling out my head out of the computer screen, I started examining this grey giant. Its appearance seemed futuristic to me, and my eyes caught on the CD-ROM function. Immediately I began looking around for something to insert into the disk drawer. To my disappointment, all 4 of our CDs we had were music CDs, which I would say it played perfectly, but it was only music. But then I remembered that we had one CD that my PlayStation 1 console couldn't run. I don't even know where I got that CD from. It just ended up with me. When I inserted it, computer did recognize it and asked me to install. Install what? I had no idea how the entire installation process worked, since the computers I seen were only at friends' or relatives' places. But despite all that, I installed something and then I pressed play. To my amazement, it was a game. And what a game it was! It was Driver. John Tanner, an exceptionally skilled driver and undercover cop, embarks on a dangerous mission to dismember a nationwide crime syndicate. Initially, Tanner must prove himself to the criminals he aims to bring down. He starts his undercover journey in Miami, where he must pass a rigorous driving test designed by criminals to gauge his skills. This test serves as a game tutorial, challenging Tanner to complete various driving maneuvers under tight time constraints. As a kid playing this game for the first time, I could never finish the tutorial or first level. What I usually did is just was playing a game mode Take a Ride, which lets you choose a car and just drive forever until you crash it. Once Tanner passed his test, he is gradually entrusted with more complicated missions, each designed to test his driving prowess and his agility to handle pressure. These missions include driving stolen cars, shaking off police pursuit, tailing other criminals without being noticed, and executing high-stakes getaways. As Tanner delves deeper into Underworld, the missions become increasingly perilous, pushing his driving skills to the limit. Throughout the game, Tanner travels across different cities. After starting in Miami, he moves to Los Angeles, then San Francisco, and finally New York. Each city presents its own unique challenges and environments, from the sprawling highways of Los Angeles to the hilly streets of San Francisco. The backdrop of these iconic American cities adds a layer of realism and excitement to the high-speed chases. As Tanner progresses, he gathers crucial information about syndicate operations, leading these and action-packed scenarios where he must outmaneuver both criminals and law. The climax of the game occurs in New York City, where Tanner must confront the syndicate leader in the final showdown. This ultimate mission tests all Tanner's accumulated skill and bravery. What I liked about the Driver 1 was that you could go through branching mission tree, which means some of the missions you can just skip. Tanner's dual identity as a cop and a criminal makes for a compelling narrative, drawing players into the world of adrenaline-pumping action and strategic deception. What can I say about the game Driver that hasn't been mentioned before? Well, it's all about driving, just like the name suggests.
Get in.
The game was heavily inspired by classic films, with heart-pumping car stunts and thrilling chases dominating the screen. Despite being the toughest game of PS1 era, perhaps of its first mission, the interview is a real challenge. Many players, when first picking up the controller for the first time of this game, couldn't pass it, myself included. As far as I know, this mission was taken straight from the movie from 1978 with the same name, The Driver. And if you can't beat it, you're not ready to play this game. The developers really took a risk with this choice because many players simply couldn't overcome it. Me included needed 11 attempts to beat it. The game asks really little of you. Drive from point A to point B. That's it. But how you can get there is up to you. You can't exceed the speed limit. You can't run red light, because at least in the first part, if the police start chasing you, the mission is practically lost. Because you have a time limit, practically every mission is to drive somewhere or follow someone with a time limit. And when the police start chasing you, they won't stop until they wreck you. On the map, they show you the approximate location where to drive, but you decide where to turn. I remember when I first saw this game in 1999, and I knew nothing about it. So what impressed me the most was that there was a whole city you could drive around wherever you wanted. That alone was a huge selling point for me, at least. Until then, I never saw or played anything like this. The car handling wasn't easy either, and it was by design. The car felt really like the cars from that time, bobbing and swaying on every turn and sliding like they were on ice. When the missions were in the rain, it made controlling the car even harder. Your car also reacted to the surface you are driving on, like grass. If you go on the grass, the car will be uncontrollable, which I never saw anything like this in other games. Before that, other cars, like NPCs, they stick to the rules and keep driving without any crashes. This adds realism to the city, but also makes your life harder because you have to avoid cars that are in your way to your destination. The city is full of police, and if you get caught by their radar, they will do everything to destroy you, no matter how small your offense. You cannot exceed the speed limit, and for some reason only the PC version show your speed. To be honest, PlayStation 1 already been overloaded with this game, so features like this must have been cut. Your speed couldn't be higher than 60. Escaping from the police is practically impossible. Their spawn points are not only scattered all over the map, but they often appear in the wrong place. In Driver, you're an undercover cop, and you get all your missions through answering machine. And often you can choose from 2 or 3 options. These missions and their sequence are different every time, so the game encourages you to play several times. In theory, there's an optional path for the missions, so by choosing wisely you can complete them fairly quickly. In other words, your game and my game can be very different from each other. My missions may have been harder, your easier, or vice versa. When I first saw the game, I saw the PS1 version, which really looked impressive for the console, and somehow the whole game fitted into the console's 2 MB of RAM. Let's not forget that it was 1999 and GTA looked like this. Actually, I was greatly impressed by the game Urban Horse, which I reviewed in this video. If you're interested, you can find it here. But speaking of Driver on PC, it was a completely different beast. Not to mention higher resolution and textures, greatly increased visibility, way more car models driving on the streets, and higher refresh rate. Of course, you get a rear view mirror and speed indicator on PC version, and in that version also you get some sort of kind of day and night cycle, which you don't on PlayStation version. Certain missions would take place at night, showing off their amazing reflection and illumination system. Don't get me wrong, when it came out many PCs couldn't even run it properly. Amongst them was my old Pentium 2. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that I got my computer, but when I got it, there were already Pentium 4 in the market. So it was already outdated even when I got it, which lacked everything to play that game normally. I played that game on my computer with a maximum of 10 FPS. And due to lack of memory, the game wouldn't load any car models except their wheels. So basically you'll be driving around the city with 4 floating wheels, which wasn't a big problem for me. And heaven forbid if you do a burnout, then the frame rate drops to 1. But that didn't bother me at all. When I was a kid, I somehow tolerated such inconveniences. What mattered was that the game was working. How well it was working, that was a different question. I remember tweaking with the game settings, trying to eke out every ounce of performance of my humble PC. It was a delicate dance, adjusting resolution, toggling graphics settings, and sacrificing visual fidelity for smoother gameplay. Even though there were some problems with it, playing Driver on my PC felt like jumping into an exciting adventure full of thrills and fun. The graphics were amazing, with every building and car looked so detailed and lifelike. I remember being at awe how realistic the city was, especially at night and rain. Even the weather effects were incredible. When it rained in the game, the streets would glisten with raindrops, and the sound of thunder would echo in the distance. It felt like I was really there, driving through the city in the middle of the storm. And let's not forget about the cars themselves. Each looked so cool and unique, with its own style and personality. Whether I was speeding in the fancy sports car or tearing through the streets in the tough pickup truck, every ride was an exciting journey waiting to unfold. In conclusion, Driver, it's a thrilling journey filled with a heat-pumping action, strategic challenges and unforgettable moments. From its captivating storyline of undercover intrigue to its pulse-pounding gameplay of high-speed chases and daring escapes, Driver immerses players into the world of adrenaline-fueled excitement and strategic deception. But beyond its thrilling gameplay and immersive storyline, Driver also captivates with its stunning graphics and attention to detail. Every aspect of the game is meticulously crafted to immerse players in its vibrant and dynamic speed-chasing world. In the end, Driver is an experience that transports players into the world of danger and excitement, where every turn holds the promise of adventure and every challenge is an opportunity to prove your skills. Thank you for riding shotgun with me through this nostalgic joyride. Let's put our nostalgia glasses away and keep the memory of Driver 1 burning rubber in our hearts. Until next time, consider watching my older stuff and subscribe if you like what I do. See you another time.